Welcome back to other hot takes, and the first one comes from Rhea Ripley, who went on Twitter and absolutely destroyed women's wrestling fans. She went on to say that women wrestling fans go ahead and say women deserve better, but in the same breath, they're saying she's sleeping with her boss. That's why she's where she is. She should retire. She doesn't deserve it. She's handed everything and never worked for anything, and I hope she gets injured. You guys are the real reason it's so difficult to be taken seriously as a women's wrestler. If you put as much effort into your own miserable lives as you put into degrading successful women, then maybe you would accomplish something yourself. That is absolutely mind-boggling that she actually put out this tweet. I will say I don't think this applies to all women, but there are definitely a bunch of people on Twitter, men and women, who say stuff like this. I've seen a bunch of tweets like this, and I'm sure Rhea Ripley, being in the position she's in right now, sees a lot of people talking crap about her, especially the fact that she's at the top of the WWE mountain. Speaking of that, we have the next hot take, which is exactly what I mean. This says that Rhea Ripley is the new Charlotte, who always has to be in the title picture to stay relevant, and I just don't understand this kind of hot take, because if you think about it, Rhea Ripley is in the prime of her career. She's one of the greatest superstars. Do you think that WWE is just going to put her back in the bottom of the card? Like, it just doesn't make sense. When someone is in the prime, when they are one of the best, they're obviously going to be on the top of the mountain. Look at John Cena in the past. Look at someone like Triple H back in the early 2000s. These guys were always at the top for a reason. That is what you do with the best talent, and I'm sure that Rhea Ripley is sick and tired of these kinds of hot takes. Harsh Chuck says that Cena's heel turn has not lived up to the hype, and I will agree. I think so far it's kind of been a dud. It does not feel too special. I think they could have done a much better job, and I think he just might not be a good heel because a lot of it just feels very phony. Like, you can tell he's acting, and that's not the case with many of the other heels. The next hot take says that Cena's retirement match has to be against Randy. This comes after the fact that he already had a match with Randy, and because of that, I don't think WWE is going to pull off another match between John Cena and Randy, especially considering that that match was labeled as one last time ever. It was amazing, don't get me wrong, but I don't think they're going to do it again. Maybe they should have held off to that match taking place later, but it is what it is. I think personally CM Punk is going to be John Cena's last opponent. Night Yoshi says that Orton should have broken Rick's record, not John Cena. Hey, look at the bright side. Randy Orton could break John Cena's record, and that could be historic in a way itself, because John Cena and Randy clearly have a great history with each other. So if Randy beats his record, that would be pretty cool. Dark Enigma says that Seth Rollins and Paul Heyman are the real baby faces in this feud. CM Punk and Roman Reigns are the real heels, and I can see where this is coming from because WWE has been giving a lot of heel sympathy in these feuds, and it makes a lot of sense doing this because it does make the storylines a lot more complex. So you could say that Seth and Paul are the real baby faces in this feud, but they're clearly not acting the right way right now. Speaking of Seth Rollins and Paul Heyman, this says that Sami Zayn is going to join and be the third man for the new Seth Rollins faction. If you look closely at the end of the opening segment, Sami was holding the chair and was in position to hit Punk in the back, and I do think that there's a possibility that this happens. I could see Sami Zayn winning Money in the Bank, and then on the June 9th episode where Gunther takes on Jey Uso, that is when Seth Rollins and Braun Breaker help Sami go on to cash in on Jey Uso. That would be absolutely incredible. The Decipher says that Kross should have a babyface run. I don't know about being a babyface, but I would love to see a tweener role for Karrion Kross. I think he would succeed in that position. Something like Stone Cold Steve Austin. Not necessarily the same attitude as Stone Cold, but you know what I mean, where he kind of acts like a bad guy, but a lot of people love it because right now Kross is very much over with the crowd, and the WWE should capitalize on that. Speaking of Kross, this hot take says that he should join Seth, Braun, and Heyman and then go on to win Money in the Bank this year. That would be a lot of fun. Personally, I do want to see him be this tweener kind of guy, but if he does join the group, that would be great for his career. I think it would help him a ton because it would get him, TV time, and on top of that too, just being around Seth and Paul Heyman as well as Braun Breaker will just elevate Karrion Kross with the casual audience. Bad Mosh Giant says that the fourth member of Seth's faction should be Finn Balor. I don't know about about this. To me, there's just no appeal in seeing Finn Balor leave his faction to just join another one. At this point, I'm done with Finn and factions. I think he's got to move on and go back to being a singles competitor. Speaking of the Judgment Day, Jenry says that Dom should always stay a heel. I don't think so. I think right now he's in a great position to go on and become a huge babyface. The online wrestling fans are starting to love Dom. He's kind of likable at this point, and even when he won the IC Championship, you heard that pop at WrestleMania. I think it's time to turn Dom shortly into a babyface, and I think he's going to be a big star. Awesome Bro says that Finn Balor needs to be the babyface when Judgment Day ends. It would be a bad idea to have Finn turn heel on Dom. Finn Balor can't turn heel on Dom because he's already a heel, but I know what you mean. You don't think that he should turn on Dom. Personally, I want him to turn on Dom. Then we get a long feud between the two, and then eventually at the end, that's when Finn Balor realizes that he's just acting crazy, and he goes on to be a babyface and shakes hands with Dominic Mysterio. That could be a lot of fun. Your266 says that McIntyre is not that over with the live audience like he is online. I would disagree with this because I've seen plenty of Raws and SmackDown over the last year, and McIntyre is clearly very over with the crowd. Maybe a little bit less now just because he's in a storyline that's smaller than before, because the thing with Punk was one of the biggest storylines, but he's still very over with the crowd. Don't get me wrong. The next hot take says that have you seen many speculations and predictions of Logan winning Money in the Bank, but it should never happen. A full-time deserving wrestler should win it, not a part-time celebrity. Let me say this, I think that Logan Paul is a great wrestler. I think he brings a ton of eyes to the product, and he clearly puts a lot of work and effort into the WWE because he really doesn't have to be here. He makes plenty of money. And if he does have a schedule like Roman Reigns from like 2022 when he actually showed up a bit more, I would not mind Logan Paul winning. I think Logan Paul becoming a transitional champion for a few months is not a bad idea. This hot take says that Ring of Honor Cody Rhodes is a top 10 heel of all time. That was some of the best work that Cody Rhodes has ever done, but just wait until he becomes Homelander Cody Rhodes. I think that's going to be the best work that Cody ever produces if he ever decides that he does want to turn heel, because right now Cody does not want to become a bad guy, which I think is a bad idea. Cody thrives in that position. Night Yoshi says that Cody's title reign was underrated, and I've said this before and I'll say it again. I think Cody's title reign was solid. It wasn't amazing and it wasn't terrible. It could have been better, but it could have been worse. Because of that, I don't think he's underrated. I think he was properly rated because some people loved it and some people didn't. The next hot take says that Solo should feel more important. I think he will be once he gets into this feud with Jacob Fatu. He clearly has Jeff Cobb as his new, big man, and I think once he feuds with Jacob Fatu for the US title, that's going to be a lot of fun, and he will feel like a bigger deal. And finally, Bubba says that no hot takes, just facts. The official Mount Rushmore of WWE is The Undertaker, John Cena, Stone Cold, and Doink the Clown. I don't know about Doink the Clown. Come on, you got to take him out. And I also would take out John Cena. I'm keeping The Undertaker and I'm keeping Stone Cold, but I don't think John Cena should be on the official Mount Rushmore of the WWE. It is tough. I don't know who the other two are going to be. Maybe I'll make a full video on this and actually think about it, but I would rather put someone like Ric Flair in there, maybe even Triple H. But at this point, I don't know about John Cena being in that Mount Rushmore. Like I said, we might have to discuss that later in another video. Anyways, that is it for this one. Thank you so much for watching. I hope y'all enjoyed. If you did, please leave a like and subscribe for more, and I'll see you all in the next video.